The next time you drive through Central Georgia, we've got a radio station we think you'll love. We're Magic 100, playing all of the songs you grew up with. You'll find us at 100.1 FM. That's 100.1. On I-75, you can tune us in from the north at Locust Grove and from the south when you get to Perry. 100.1 FM. Classic soul hits. Magic 100.
This is the G Podcast with your host, Tonya Bee.
And I wouldn't be Serena if there wasn't Venus. So thank you, Venus. She's the only reason that Serena Williams ever existed. So.
Oh yeah, I gotta give it up, man. Everybody was ready in the first round. They got the video, the tributes in the first round, and Sister Girl said, nope, I ain't going out to the third round. So I got to give it up to Serena and start the show on a good note, because there's so much bad shit that I got to talk about. And you know what?
That is, I know.
It's
That's
just
true.
one of those
That's
shows. True. It's just, I try. Shan Norman's here with us. And I told Shan before, I said, Shan, you could come on, but this is the E. This is where I earn that E. When you look at it's going to be earned this week. Because honestly, I'm pissed. There are a couple of things I got to talk about, and I got to keep it really real. I mean, there's no way to be nice about it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's some bullshit going on in the country right now, and even some bullshit that's going on in the city of Atlanta that really needs to be talked about. And I can't believe it. But let me give it up one more time. Let me go back to the niceties. I got to give it up to Serena. Hey, go ahead, Tonya B. You were going to say something about
No, I just say, give her flowers. She said, I'm not going out the first or second round because, the third time was a charm. She probably said, I don't want to hang around till, round 7, although 7 is the number of completion. But, at the end of the day, I think she's at a point in her career right now where Serena doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. And that's just the reality of it. Yes. So, why get out there and sweat and grunt when you don't have to? Yeah. Serena is who she is. And you know what? You have arrived when you have one name like Aretha or Patty, or Dion. And then we have Venus and Serena. Billie Jean King still has to use her entire name, even when you say Naomi and Coco. But Chris Everett still has to use her own name. So, I'd say give her flowers, because give her pocketbook and everything else, because she has earned it. Yes. She's earned it.
People were pissed, man, because I used to watch a lot of tennis back in the day. I had my favorites, McEnroe, the craziness from John McEnroe and all that stuff. But it was funny, people were pissed because I was following Twitter, and people hate Chris Everett when she talks about Serena. So
when she talks about anybody, they need to just let her go home, take her pocketbook, and just sit down and be quiet.
They were just calling her a hater. You need to shut the hell up. She does. That's funny, man. But anyway, again, welcome, y'all. This is episode 144 of This is the G Podcast. I'm your host, Tonya B. I want to thank everybody, man. It's Labor Day weekend, and a whole lot of y'all out doing family stuff and hanging. I told Tonya B, I said, Tonya B, you got family, you traveling, you ain't got to do it. You ain't got to do it, Tonya B. But I got to get
I'm a professional. Okay.
But she here.
I don't take off when I have a hangnail. I travel with my equipment.
You say, a hangnail?
Okay, I'm here.
She is in the building.
Anyway.
Every week we do news, politics, pop culture, and that piping hot tea. And she is the one and only Tonya B, host of the Byrdwire. You can check it out Fridays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. and then Saturdays at noon. And you know what's up with the Byrdwire? You did your
this week we did the Siblings of Soul, and I played songs by groups with siblings, and some of them you might have forgotten about, but we went, from back in the day, from Earth, Wind and Fire. We did the Emotions, the Jones Girls, Sister Sledge, but then we came up a little bit more current with people like Jagged Edge and the Sisters of 702. So, and then you might have forgotten about some of those groups, Tony. A lot of those folks, and people seem to like it. It was still, your backyard barbecue, real good, feel good R&B music. But again, it was just siblings. People forget that Charlie Wilson was in a band with his brothers called the Gap Band.
So true. So Gap Band was my group, man. I mean, before that was the group. You had Cameo.
Yeah, and back in the day.
Oh, the 80s.
I mean, but you had, again, Kool and the Gang. People forget there were 3 brothers in Kool and the Gang.
Yeah, so true.
So it was pretty cool.
I appreciate you being here one more time. Yeah, give it up for Tonya Bee. Yeah. And the other sister who's with us on the show, she's saying, who y'all talking about? The Gap.
No, you always do that. My father was born in 1944.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So you got your old school lessons, right. I'm sure. You know what the Gap Band, weekend. Cameo. You know what's up.
Every day.
Every day.
See?
Daily.
See? Yes.
Yeah, so she might be millennial, but she knows her stuff. And I got to give it up to the one and only Shan Norman's in the building. Yeah. And Shan is a member of the family, Castropolis.net. She's founder, CEO of MillennialVoices.com, BlackAdoptees.com. And also creator of Our Justice for Veterans podcast, which is launching soon and coming up with some great content. Shan, what's up? It's Labor Day weekend. Hey. What you hanging? I'm not into letting people know specifically where people are because, we learning that in Atlanta. You don't say where you are. Because, you might be like Mariah Carey.
Yeah, they'll break in your house.
They will break in your house. So no, but I will say she's in the Southeast, I think, so she is Southeastern, I will say that, and travels often. But what's up, Tonya? What's up, Shan Norman? What's going on with you this weekend? What you doing?
I'm hanging with you guys, trying to be like you, both of you. My mentors.
when we start talking about some of this shiggity, she might not be saying that in a few minutes. But Shan, thank you. And here's the deal, y'all. On a serious tip, the couple of things I'm talking about, this Jackson thing, Jackson, Mississippi, the water issue. Is troubling for me, and I'll talk about it more after we do Syracuse Mike. But we can't sit back and normalize and allow this to be the norm. In no way whatsoever can we allow it to be the norm. I mean, I know we went through Flint, but it's crazy because I'm in Georgia, and I just decided. I said, hey, I'm going to Google the worst 10 water sources in America. And lo and behold, guess who shows up on the list? The state of Georgia. It's like, nobody's really safe. But I want to call. No. Go ahead, Tonya Bee. I mean,
nothing. No, that is very, very. And what you said about the whole situation with the water. This is like Flint 2.0, and Flint after all these years is still not right. No. But it's just the nature of the news cycle. And you look at places like even in D.C., their water is about as hard as a brick. But it's been that way. Yes. So this is all nothing new. But you don't have bad water in Pacific Palisades, California. Nope. Don't have bad water on not Miami, but Miami Beach, where the money is, and you don't have, and Mississippi has been notorious for being one of the poorest states in this country for years. That's why people like B.B. King, jumped on the freight train and got out of Dodge. That's the reality of it.
I got it. And I'm going to say something after we do news with Syracuse Mike that kind of ties all this together. And I would love our audience to chime in and also maybe give us some comments as well. But I'll get to that after the news. The other thing that's troubling me, and this is near your home, Tonya Bee, the closing of the Atlanta Medical Center. Which if you grew up in Atlanta, I'm a Grady baby. So I grew up in Atlanta, so if y'all ever hear people talk about Grady babies, I'm one of them. Okay. So you had Grady, You had, at the time, Georgia Baptist, where a whole lot of black folks were born at Georgia Baptist, which Georgia Baptist is now the Atlanta Medical Center, which is near Ralph McGill, all that area. And
it's been a high, they call it an HDBL, like a high density black DBA, a high density black area.
Yes.
And that is, and what's also interesting and sad, they just closed their location out in East Point. Now, people out at East Point by the airport now have to come downtown Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the issue of, in that particular area where Atlanta Medical AMC is. Let me just say this. When I first moved to Atlanta, I thought, I live near the movie theater. I will tell you the truth. I thought it was like I'm like, where's the movie theater? It's AMC. But now it's called Wellstar. But the thing is, there are some huge senior citizen buildings around Wellstar, aka Atlanta Medical Center, and these people are going to, they have no choice but to go to Grady now. And the question is, with the way Grady is, can they handle the volume? And they're already stretched out already.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. I mean, just think of, and again, this is not anything, it's kind of specific now because it's happening in the Atlanta area, but this happens all across the country where a lot of these facilities get shut down, where there's a need in the black community or in black communities because they're not making a profit. They're in the red. And the other thing about this is you think back a couple of years ago, Tonya B, when Grady was having issues. Remember the water, the flooding and all that was happening?
Yeah. But here's the gag about that whole thing, Tommy B. Yeah. You got Grady, major construction projects. You know, if you want to go to Grady, you better get there a half an hour before you want to be there just to find somewhere to park, number one. Number two, with the Atlanta Medical Center, again, they just did major expansion, major, and I think 2 major multi-million-dollar buildings. There's construction going on there as we speak right now. And then there's an entire almost a city block that they brought that is still empty. So I wonder what's going to happen. No, they got the
I bet I know what's going to happen.
It's going to be condos. No, let me tell you something. That hospital, that hospital, honestly, it's on a corner.
Yes.
They've got a major garage. It is prime condo territory, which is all a boulevard. I mean, really, let's call a thing a thing. If you can make a church a condo building, you can make a hospital a condo building.
That's what's up. And that's the reality of it. We'll be right back.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
A Fulton County Superior Court judge has ruled that Governor Brian Kemp can't avoid testifying in the special grand jury investigation of possible illegal attempts to influence the 2020 election. Judge Robert McBurney said that Kemp will need to honor the subpoena, but will allow him to wait until after the November election. Kemp's lawyers had argued that testifying earlier could influence the outcome of his re-election bid. It is believed that Kemp is not a target of the investigation. It was supposed to happen Monday morning, but the highly anticipated launch of Artemis 1 was scrubbed. There were a number of issues, including an engine cooling problem. Specifically, it was an engine bleed that couldn't be fixed in time, according to launch commentator Daryl Nail.
Engineers are now working on a plan to continue gathering data about this particular engine and the bleed that didn't work out.
NASA will try to give the launch another shot on Friday. The goal is to put astronauts on the moon again in just a couple of years. Fulton County has indicted more than 24 suspected gang members for several Atlanta area celebrity home invasions. The suspected gang members use social media to see which celebrities are flaunting flashy items. Celebs also often indicate on social media when they are out of town. Fulton DA Fonnie Willis had a message for gang members. Get out of the county.
We are going to find you. We are going to convince you. And we're going to send you to the prison for the rest of your days. And I'm not apologizing for that.
Recent victims include Mariah Carey, Marlo Hampton of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Do not drink the water. That's the message for residents of Jackson, Mississippi. It's unclear when safe water will be available. That even includes for flushing toilets. Pumps at the main water treatment plant failed on Monday. Now the city is relying on the emergency distribution of bottled water for about 180,000 people.
Until it is fixed, it means we do not have reliable running water at scale.
That's Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. Chris Rock has turned down an offer to host the Oscars next year. There's no doubt his appearance would mean huge ratings, at least for the first 30 minutes. But Rock told an audience in Phoenix returning to the Oscars stage would be like revisiting a crime scene. Of course, that's a reference to when Will Smith slapped him 5 months ago. In sports, Serena Williams won the first-round match of her final U.S. Open. The win took place before a crowd that was all in for the retiring superstar athlete. A judge is set to hear arguments today over the issue of appointing a special master to review documents seized from former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. The Department of Justice thinks that's unnecessary, since a special team has already gone through the documents and found only a few that might be privileged. But the DOJ filing says there was likely an effort to conceal classified documents in defiance of a grand jury subpoena. The DOJ also says the search took place only after months of negotiations with Trump's team. Without saying who was behind it, the DOJ believes efforts were likely taken to obstruct the investigation. A photo was released showing how investigators found top-secret records spread out on the floor of a carpeted room next to a box of magazines. And now another Trump attorney may be in trouble. Federal prosecutors said a person acting as a custodian of records at the Mar-a-Lago resort signed a letter this past June saying they had conducted a diligent search for documents and had not retained any copies. In Jackson, Mississippi, crews at the water treatment plant have installed an emergency rental pump. Governor Tate Reeves.
We've installed a new rental pump, contracted with outside operators to do critical maintenance, and started other emergency repair.
Residents are still being told do not drink the tap water. The CDC has joined the FDA and signed off on Pfizer and Moderna's new COVID booster shot. This one targets the Omicron subvariants BA4 and BA5. The Pfizer shot will be available for those 12 and older, and the Moderna shot will be for those who are 18 and older. You'll need to wait at least 2 months from your last booster to be eligible for this shot. The new shot should be available in just days. In Philadelphia, President Joe Biden had a warning for Americans about democracy, saying MAGA Republicans loyal to Donald Trump fan the flames of political violence.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
The White House denied that the speech was political, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy accused Biden of doing everything in his power to crush America's soul and demanded the president apologize for accusing Republicans of supporting a philosophy of semi-fascism. The family of a 20-year-old black man who was fatally shot Tuesday morning by a Columbus, Ohio police officer is calling for peaceful protests over the weekend. Donovan Lewis was shot inside the bedroom of an apartment. Lewis appeared to be holding a vape pen before he was shot. No weapon was found. This was the 6th shooting involving Columbus police so far this year, and the 3rd to happen within an 8-day period in late August. None of the other shootings involving Columbus police in 2022 resulted in fatalities. The federal judge who heard arguments for and against an independent legal representative, or what's been referred to as a special master, to review documents seized from former President Trump's Florida estate, says she will provide a written response at a later date. When, we don't know. At the request of Trump's attorneys and news outlets, she did agree to release a detailed list of items taken on August 8th. Prosecutors appear to be okay with that. Through this process, the judge has indicated a willingness to appoint a special master.
I don't know. I mean, it's sad what's going on in Ohio. It just seems like in Columbus, the only way you can't get shot if you're black and a male in Ohio is if you play for Ohio State. I mean, it seems like everybody else is a target. You know what I'm saying?
You have to just leave Ohio. That's how you keep from getting shot. You just leave.
If you play football, you cool, but outside of that, you a target. So they shoot this kid in bed. He's got a vape gun, whatever, not a gun, but no gun was found.
It's a pen. It's like a pen. It looks like pretty much like a pen. Yeah.
A vape pen. So I hope they, again, like I told you guys before, until they do something on a universal scale for police reform, this is just going to continue. I mean, there's nothing to stop these guys because they know that locally they can get away with it. I'm just going to leave it at that. But the thing I was talking about for Jackson, one of the things that bothers me, and I'd love to hear feedback from our audience, you can go to castropolis.net and leave us a voicemail. But one of the issues I have that really, pisses me off about this is a lot of these states that have similar situations, infrastructure issues, especially in the Southeast, let's, like you say, Tonya B, let's just call a thing. The water has not, this is nothing new. These situations with the water have been going on for years. The lead in paint, all that stuff has been going on for years. But my point is, a lot of these states and their representatives are more about talking about critical race theory and trying to push their little abortion agenda, yet all these problems exist. And we know they exist. They're not doing anything to fix it. I mean, and that doesn't, just because it's Mississippi doesn't mean, because quote unquote Mississippi gets the bad rap. Same things happen in Georgia. Same thing happens definitely in Florida, South Carolina. You can just go through the Southeast and most of these states, even, some of the Western, Southwestern, states as well. Bottom line is they've spent so much time on these culture war issues that the things they should be doing as representatives don't get done. It's just like right now, when we're talking about the hospital, again, old school ATL. I was born in Grady. Okay. You had Crawford Long, you had Georgia Baptist, Hughes Spalding, all these little hospitals. And now you're going to shut down a hospital. I don't want to call it an indigent care hospital because, basically, it appeals to everyone or it services everyone in that area.
What's interesting about what you're saying? And I just had one of those aha moments.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they are going to shut down, WellStar Atlanta Medical Center at a time when it's in a neighborhood that's being so gentrified.
Yes.
Those people who might have been born there, with the exception of the seniors, the people that live there don't look like you and I anymore. So I wonder how they are going to deal with that.
Yeah, but they're pushing everybody over to Grady.
Or if they even realize it.
Yeah.
And Grady's already overwhelmed. But again, here's Grady overwhelmed, yes. Here's Grady understaffed, yes. But yet they are over there building like they're over there building, the White House. I mean, when I tell you there are blocks of that area, and pretty soon this part of Atlanta is going to be owned by two people. One is Georgia State, because they are buying up everything from downtown Atlanta over to the old Brave Stadium.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They got all of that. So it's going to be bought up by academia, and then it's all just going to be bought up by I call them the interlopers, but the gentrification crew.
Oh, yeah.
And people who've lived there for years can't afford to live there. Not even if their houses are paid for, they can't afford to stay there because the doggone tax base is high. When you have a house that might have been at its best moment worth $60,000, but you've got a house next door to you that's been torn down, rebuilt, and it's worth $1 million. You're paying tax on that, not where you live. So, and I mean, this is happening everywhere. There are hospitals in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah. Not gentrifying, pushing people out, but also with these hospitals that are closing.
Yeah, so true. And the other thing, we talk about the fact that in a lot of cases, and most of you may not know this, but you should definitely do your homework and Google. In a lot of these states, the governors aren't giving the Medicaid money to the hospitals. So, I mean, just like in Georgia, Kemp refuses to give the funding that's intended for Medicaid, Medicare to these hospitals and to the people who go to these hospitals. They're only getting a percentage of it. Then, they have to prove work. And a lot of these folks are disabled. They're mentally disabled. It's a mess, but they use the same playbook all across the country. In the meantime, things happen like this. And it's crazy watching the Republican governor in Mississippi, because he knows he's wrong. He knows this stuff. It's just like when what's his name, Cancun, the Cancun buddy over in Texas. Ted
cruise ship. Yes.
Cancun cruise. When Texas was having the significant issues with their infrastructure and the power grid, they knew that the money should have been going to fix this. You know what I mean? A lot of these issues could be fixed, and they're not. The money's not going where it should go.
I want to hear what Buttigieg has to say. Isn't he in charge of infrastructure and the transportation?
And
I believe
they all do, but this in my opinion, we passed the infrastructure bill within a year. Okay.
Right.
It takes what's been going on in Jackson has been going on for over a decade.
Just like Flint, that you look at these situations; they are not just happening overnight. Yeah. This has been going on, and it's almost like the dams in New Orleans for Katrina. They just ignored it, hoping it would never happen, or when they had to, they would just put a Band-Aid on it. But you can't put a Band-Aid on it. You've got to treat the wound at its source, and that has not happened.
And you could jump in,
which leads me to my next point.
Yeah, jump in, Shan.
Term limits.
Yeah, go ahead.
Term limits for some of these politicians. Let's call a thing a thing.
I agree. And that's happening definitely. And I'm, I may call names on the next show. I'm gonna give them a break because it's a holiday weekend. But there, the Atlanta City Council. There's some folks who've been on council. There's some folks who've been, in under the Gold Dome way too long. There's some folks who've been, in Congress way too long, and their constituents are getting screwed. I mean, it's just plain and simple. I mean, and people really need to, call your Congress people, your senators, your local government, your mayors. I think, Atlanta mayor, he's going to have to, I think definitely. I mean, this just didn't come. They're going to have until November 1st before they close this hospital. So somebody's going to have a plan and some clarity on how this thing's going to be handled going forward. Shan, go ahead. I mean, do you have any thoughts? I'm sorry, we've been yak, and not letting you jump in here. Go ahead, Shan Norman. What you got?
You guys are my mentors. I'm learning, taking notes.
Any thoughts, Shan?
I'm here for the millennials. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, but as a millennial, though, I mean, I hear it because I got one in my house, and they really don't have, a high opinion of the boomers and the Xers, at this point. What are your thoughts?
I think that we're going to have to, I really believe it's the millennials. It's our time now that we need to stand up and use our voice. I feel as though the generations that have come above us have done enough. I feel as though the generation above us, has gone through a different time period than we came. I was born in 86. So you remember a lot of the segregation when it was kind of coming out of that type of situation. Mm-hmm. So now it's our turn. It's our turn to step forward and speak out about certain things that are actually affecting millennials. Everything we've talked about, the majority of that are millennials. And if we don't get it right now, and we don't come forward now, because all of the people that are making all these decisions all the way up top, they're not even going to be here. We're going to be the ones that have to clean up all that mess because of all the things that have, started. And what's frustrating to me is they're giving money to Taiwan and all of these things, where if you just can we just get $1 billion to take it to our community? Just one. That's all. Look, I can tell you, I can do a lot of things. I know a lot. We can all work together. If you just give us $1 billion, we can work together. Don't give it to Taiwan. Give it to the, Mississippi. That, they're giving money to arms for to Taiwan
and
when you could give it
Ukraine
to
as well. Ukraine too. Yeah, go ahead.
Mississippi. If you give $1 billion, I bet you everybody will have water.
Yeah, so true.
I know some people.
Yeah. But go ahead. Tonya B, jump in.
I think I also wanted to ask Sean. I'm sorry, Shan. What happens, I think, with Atlanta, this is happening. They act like, this is a big tech and a big booming tech city. But what happens is, the millennials and the Gen X and Y, they come here. But like a lot of people, like the baby boomers, they don't stay. They get up and move somewhere else. So if I don't like the way, Atlanta does, or the state of Georgia does X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and, I might be 26 or 32. I can get up and move somewhere else. But a lot of the people that are, like you said, that are being affected by this as well, they can't get up and move somewhere else. And even look at states that have a better quality of life, especially for seniors. They can't get up and move. And like Shan said, I believe it is, that now, your millennials and your Gen X and Y, they're the movers and shakers. And I think what some of them don't forget is, they can ignore it now. But then when they get to be a certain age, when they become, those are tomorrow's baby boomers, they're going to be like, what is this? How did this happen? And again, you just can't put your head in the sand whether you are 26 or 66. You've got to be proactive because it does affect your quality of life down the line. This country giving all this money to Taiwan and Ukraine is going to affect, like my nieces and nephews and, my second and third cousins. And I really hope that, the young people, will think about that.
But, Millennial Nick produces this show, and one of the things he talks about, we talk about a lot, because Gen X and boomers don't necessarily have as much of an appreciation for climate change because he looks at it and he says, well, y'all ain't gonna be here. Y'all are looking at it from a standpoint of, you need to be thinking about the future and future generations, not necessarily us. Not necessarily yourselves, but really a lot of these politicians are in it for themselves. They're in it for the money. I hate to keep saying that. I don't hate. It's the truth. They should. They should
be on the couch.
Yeah, they getting paid. But it's in many cases, and I'm just going to again say it. It's time to hand off the baton. To people who can really go down and raise hell, because people should be raising hell. People should be raising hell. And one more thing, I do want to. I don't want to go into the Trump thing because honestly, he's a mentally ill man. I just, it's unfortunate that not that he, but one of our, a president of the United States is on some kind of mental illness tip. And the reason I say that is because of what Bill Barr said. I don't know if you heard this. He was on Fox. But Bill Barr, was, of course, his AG, and he resigned before the shit hit the fan. But I think Fox had him on. How Fox put these guys on, and they think, oh, they're going to be right in Trump's corner. And let me play what he said.
Attorney General Barr, we've seen that famous photo of all of the top secret /SCI materials arrayed on the floor in President Trump's office there at Mar-a-Lago. He claims that he had a standing order to declassify anything that he took out of the White House when he left in January of 2021. Is there any legitimate reason for those materials to be in the former president's possession?
No, I can't think of a legitimate reason why they could be taken out of the government, away from the government, if they're classified. I frankly am skeptical of this claim that I declassified everything, because frankly, I think it's highly improbable. And second, if in fact he sort of stood over scores of boxes, not really knowing what was in them, and said, I hereby declassify everything in here, that would be such an abuse. And show such recklessness that it's almost worse than taking the documents.
To that point, though, there's some questions over the timeline, and there are some who fall in the camp of this was, looking at the unprecedented nature of a raid of a former president's home like this, that perhaps there was more room for the authorities to obtain these materials without raiding the president's home while he was not even there. Do you think this type of this raid was avoidable? Do you think a second subpoena, for example, could have been issued?
Well, I think whether the raid was reasonable under the circumstances, whether there's in fact a case to be made, and whether or not, as a matter of prudential judgment, that case should be brought, depend on two questions: the character of those top secret documents and secret documents, how sensitive were they, and second, how raw is the evidence of deceit and obstruction? Do they have really good evidence from people who were involved of
What do you
deceit?
think the answer to that is?
I personally think for them to have taken things to the current point, they probably have pretty good evidence. But that's speculation. And until we see that, it's hard to say. Now, let me just say, I think the driver on this from the beginning was loads of classified information sitting in Mar-a-Lago. People say this was unprecedented. Well, it's also unprecedented for a president to take all this classified information and put them in a country club. OK, and how long is the government going to try to get that back? They jawbone for a year. They were deceived on the voluntary actions taken. They then went and got a subpoena. They were deceived on that. They feel, and the facts are starting to show that they were being jerked around. And so how long do they wait?
Oh, apparently he didn't get the memo. He did not get the They had him on Fox News, and he didn't get the memo.
He probably ignored the memo while he was leaving and getting out of Dodge.
That was some funny shit. But what I'm saying, I mean, they expected, they were trying to get him to say something that would help, 45 Cheeto.
He spoke the truth. He spoke the truth.
I'm not you say that. Oh, hell no. And why the hell would he even have it at a country club? That's what, but anyway, I just wanted to play that for y'all. That's why I say the guy's sick. I mean, there's something wrong. And then for him to go on, as we tape on a Sunday, it's Labor Day weekend. He was in Wilkes. What is
he was outside of Philadelphia. Yeah. He was in that little Republican pocket of Pennsylvania. Yeah. And some of the things I heard him say, they went into my 16-year-old son's bedroom. Why? Dude. Because you hid the shit in there.
That's what I'm saying. You do. And see, the bottom line is all the stuff he's saying is incriminating himself. He's just incriminating himself. I mean, you can't be very smart if you just say all this to incriminate yourself. And I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, y'all, let's take a break. Let's get ready for Tonya Bee's tea. It's just so much. All right, but anyway, we'll come right back after this.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tonya Bee.
Tonya Bee, what you got?
Okay, I'm going to lighten up the room for a minute. Monday was the birthday of the late, great, legendary King of Pop, Michael Jackson. I don't know who tried to tell One Direction member Harry Styles he's the new King of Pop, but there's only one and he is not.
Oh, Lord. No, he didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Somebody did, but they shut it down. Anyway, so it was Michael Jackson's birthday. And, I'm being kind when I say there is a gossip rag that came out with a story. And it kind of mimics the situation with Prince where they're alleging that Michael Jackson, unlike me, he had 19 fake IDs that were used to buy drugs, I guess, when Conrad Murray wasn't around. But, and one thing I will say is I did not watch the MTV Video Music Awards. That to me, they're not relevant anymore.
I agree.
But one thing I will give Nicki Minaj credit for is that she did mention, because people like Michael Jackson and Janet also were recipients of this Video Vanguard Award that she received, which shows you how slim the pickings are. But anyway, she did say that she wished that, people like Michael and like Whitney, and people really didn't know what they were going through. Because a lot of times you have the fame, you have the money, but they're very lonely people, and they're just kind of broken inside. And, imagine it, what if there was no internet in terms of how they dealt with their addictions? There are some people who are very famous to this day and some not so famous, but they were in rehab back in the 70s when you could, you didn't have the rags, the gossip rags and the internet, and you didn't have, all the things that are out here now that, were able to go through it very quietly. So I'll give her credit for that.
When they had the fax. The fax machine.
How about that? Even before, no, let's go back to, before the faxes. I'm talking about the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s. So, okay, so then here comes Union. Harvey Levin. No, I'm a lawyer, Mr. TMZ and things along that line. Now, Harvey Levin claims that he is going to produce the definitive documentary. It's called Who Really Killed Michael Jackson. So we'll see what happens with that. But now here comes Michael Jackson's, I know she's his ex-wife legally. I just call her the sperm donor or the surrogate. Debbie Rowe now claiming that she feels partially responsible for what happened to him. And I'm like, girl, go sit down. You got paid to have those kids. You knew the situation that you signed up for. So, now you wish that you had done more. And my question then becomes, well, why didn't you do anything?
Yeah.
And just go sit down. You got your money. You got your check. Let's keep it pushing.
I agree. God,
let that man rest in peace.
Debbie Rowe.
Debbie Rowe. Yes.
What was she like? What was she like? A dental hygienist?
The medical assistant to one of his doctors or one of his plastic surgeons.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, Michael, you couldn't pay. He could have paid me. Shoot. Anyway. Then, now this is like, okay, I got to tell you this. Like Anybody Cares. This is going to be an Anybody Care moment, and I'll just say not me. But do you know that somebody actually is putting money into a Milli Vanilli documentary? And we all know that was one of the biggest music industry scandals. Nobody Cares. They thought they were bigger than Elvis with their lip-syncing selves. They gave the Grammy back. Rob died from an overdose. The other one has been banished to who knows where. Yeah. And what's sad about it is the guy that actually sang the songs, his name is John Davis. He recently passed away from COVID, and he should have actually got the Grammy because he sang the songs.
Yeah.
Now,
what a scandal back in the day. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that. And you know whose label Milli Vanilli was signed to?
Arista.
Clive Davis. Anything for $1 Davis. Okay, so anyway, now I want to talk about this mess with Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears because it's very disappointing.
Go ahead. This is upsetting.
And there's a woman who now has come forward almost 10 years after the fact. She calls herself Jane Doe, and she's accusing Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears of everything from sexual, like they were trying to run an R. Kelly on her kids, basically, sexual abuse, grooming them, and made them do these unnatural acts or sexual acts. At the time, the young lady was 12. And the young boy, her brother was 22. And then again, I say, okay, Mama, you want to come out here and sue, but where were you when they were doing this? And because they were minors, she should have been present and not let it happen. And if you're going to say, well, if it was for money, they only got $100. It was a skit called The Mind of a Pedophile back in 2014, and they were kind of busting on R. Kelly. And now she's saying, oh, my daughter can't, date. She's all messed up. My son's messed up. He thinks somebody's watching him, and he puts Band-Aids, over his, his devices like his laptops and iPads because he thinks somebody's watching him. And, and these are some pretty, lady, I don't know. I think it's a money grab, but I know Tiffany is fighting back, and I don't blame her. Aries Spears, you know what? This might be karma for those Lizzo comments you made last week because when was the last time he was funny? Okay, Mad TV, which how many years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's more to this, and it is just really, really upsetting because even if they are found not guilty of these allegations, they could face some criminal charges. It could be very damaging to their careers, and if they were to go to jail, which I doubt this will be.
Well, apparently she's been pursuing the money for years. But
she's trying to get money from them for years, right? And they've been ignoring her.
And the other thing is,
Kelly.
what happened with Tiffany's hired Prince Philip's lawyer, the one the Jeffrey Epstein case lawyer.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I said, why, something like the girl is now 22 and she's going to represent herself. So this is all being pushed and orchestrated by the mama.
That's why they're taking it seriously now because the parties involved are now legal. So
the young lady is legal. The young lady, yeah. The young man, the brother is only 19. But, I think the things people will do for money, good Lord. And the thing about it was allegedly these children were somehow connected to like friends of Tiffany Haddish's family or something along that line. So, all I can say is, of course, guilty. I mean, until proven innocent until proven guilty. But just the fact that somebody would say something like that is, I think, just, you really coming outside yourself. Okay,
we'll keep an eye on it. Yep.
Don't say we did. Let's go to the Divorce Chronicles. First, we're going to talk about Grey's Anatomy actor Jesse Williams. He made millions and millions of dollars and he was on that show. But now he and his third leg, catch that T, have gone back to Broadway in that play, Take Me Out. And now Jesse is only making $2,000 a week. People think that Broadway actors, like the stars of these plays, they don't make a whole lot of money. Like I said, you go from like $2 million a week to $2,000 a week. And, Jesse's going through a very contentious divorce with, the estranged wife who held him down when he was a struggling actor. And she was getting $40,000 a month. And now they went to a judge, and but I say in this instance, I rock with Jesse. The judge did lower her child support to $6,000 a month, which is in, it's in line with his income right now. And then the judge told her, Mrs. Williams, it's time for you to get a job.
Wow.
And I'm really not mad at him for that. So that's Jesse. So if you want to see Jesse in his third leg and you can go to Broadway and sit there with a mask on, go see Take Me Out.
You're crazy.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about stay off social media, Tyrese. Hey, it is what it is. But talk about now, Tyrese, same thing. He needs to stay off social media too, because he's got too much of his business out there and he looks crazy. And his estranged wife, who now thought she was getting, and she got the booby prize, like, the zonker on door number 3 on Let's Make a Deal. Yeah. And they've gone to court. And he said that he does not want to pay her spousal support, but he does have to pay $10,000 a month for his daughter. But the thing is, like, Tyrese, what value is it? And you trying to take back a 2016 car this woman has had to drive your child around? What are you going to do with it? And so at the end of the day, he came out, he's good to turn on the waterworks, which he did, but then he tried to clap back at the judge and he got chin checked. So he should be glad the judge did not make him pay more.
Wow. He definitely turns on the waterworks. He's the best.
My goodness. Oh yeah. It's like he had a really good acting coach.
He's the best.
And we don't talk about Kanye, but I'm just gonna say this now. He's claiming he's claiming that the Kardashians used him, Tristan Thompson, all the other baby daddies. Even he told the one that just married what's it, Courtney? Yeah. The musician Travis Barker. Yeah. You're just there to be a sperm donor, and Kanye's
pretty
claiming that. Yeah, right. But you see, Courtney, only one that's not down with the swirl. Kanye says, "Worry about your own kids. Don't criticize me. Shut the F up." And then now his new bombshell for this week is that his marriage fell apart because of his addiction to online porn. And he's claiming that Kim is in denial of being half black and that he's mad because Kim is allegedly getting back together with the comedian Pete Davidson and his third leg. So there we have that.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I was, I guess they put him back on Instagram. So now, he's doing all this stuff because he's back on Instagram. But one of the other posts that kind of I had to laugh at was the fact that he was posting that he wears all the winter stuff during the summer because he doesn't want to be regular.
You haven't been regular since you came out of your mother's womb. Really, dude?
I'm like,
really?
Dude, it's 98 degrees and you got a parka on I just had to laugh. I mean,
watch him come out with his own line of deodorant.
And Rick Ross co-signed like, facts, dude, facts. I'm like,
oh please, okay. Well, if you were wondering what happened with the Fugees, the Fugees were supposed to be going on this reunion tour, the 25th anniversary of the score, and blah 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 blah, and they were blaming it on Lauryn Hill. And I'm here to tell you right now, she is not. I repeat, not the reason there will not be a reunion tour, and here is why. It's because of Pras Michelle. Now, I told you there's this show I love on ABC called The Con, C-O-N, and it's narrated by Whoopi Goldberg. And there was a scam and a con that she talked about with this guy whose name is Jay Wu or John Wow, whatever. And Pras is involved in that. And what it is that Pras has been charged with, huge international money laundering in this scam.
Oh, he gone.
He goes to trial. He goes to trial November 4th, and he's facing 20 years in jail. That is why there will not be a Fugees reunion tour, my people.
Oh, what is that? What is it called? Interpol? They don't play.
Well, I'm just saying, I watched that show, but this guy, he really scammed some high-level people, up to and including Leonardo DiCaprio. He was part of The Wolf of Wall Street, that movie. Yeah. So yeah, this Interpol, is big. This is big.
Don't play,
Yeah.
So, see ya, Pras.
Yeah, so
go ahead. What else you got?
Please. I want to tell you about Meg Thee Stallion. People were giving her major props, and I must admit, I was one of them. I'm like, man, she's out there. She's got the businesses going, she's got the music, she's touring, she's doing this, she's doing that, and she's still going to school at Texas Southern. And I'm sure if you write a check at a lot of schools, I know people who have done it. You can get in there, you can graduate and get passed through. But what has happened with Meg Thee Stallion is now her former best friend is claiming that Meg has committed academic fraud. But I'm here to tell you, the bestie has done the same thing, because she's claiming that Meg does not deserve that degree because the bestie was doing all of her homework while she was out there touring and twerking and working and having Meg Thee Stallion hot sauce. Okay.
I wondered if I did the homework and I got the receipts.
Yes. Yeah. So she said, I guess Meg stopped paying her, whatever the case may be. I'm sure there's more to it. But then her friend says, at best, Meg was a C student. I did her homework. She got higher grades. So,
damn, y'all can't be letting your besties do your homework. Find somebody, find a no-name.
Even a stranger would do the same thing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah. Academic fraud.
I would never do that. But I'm just saying, don't do that. That was just an accident waiting to happen, an axe waiting to fall. God. Because she knows loyalty. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because eventually, when that money stops, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, all right, Tonya B. All right, hey, let's go ahead. You know what I got, y'all. You know that. Let me go on.
Well, I got to say one thing.
All right, one more thing. One more thing.
We're gonna talk about this because I watched Honk for Jesus last night.
All right, it's coming up. I got the review. I got the review. So hang on. That's all I can say. But first, I got to do this.
What you watching this week, Tonya B?
All right. So here's what's up, y'all. You know The Chi. I do the work so y'all don't have to. So
that's your show, and that's okay. I don't watch it, and that is your show. Go in and let have.
But I will say there were mixed reviews on the season finale. And, because I watched the show and then I'll check it out, not necessarily real time because now, it comes in early and people stream it more so at different times than it used to be, at one time. But one thing I will say is there have been mixed reviews about the finale because some people want drama. You know how people, I want drama. That meme, they want the drama. And sometimes it's just best to hold the drama until the next season. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the season's almost over. Let's just go ahead and get out of season 5 into season 6. So I see the rationale, but just a couple of quick things. And these are only minor spoilers. So if you haven't seen it already, just, close your ears or something. But these are just minor spoilers. But with Q's demise, old school Q, the guy who used to be on 21 Jump Street, that Q. Duda takes control, and he did it in a way that put Q in the trunk of a car. So I'll just leave it at that. Victor spills the beans and comes clean about himself. I was expecting that to happen. The other thing is Kev is kind of like the lead young guy in the show, the lead kid actor in the show, and he's really trying to sue eventually his parents to emancipate. And we're going to see more of that coming into season 6 because he's making his own money doing gaming. So we'll see how that works out. It was good to see Tiff and Keisha come back together and hug it out, move forward, because I thought somebody was going to get hurt. Because Keisha, I still don't think she's right. Something up with Keisha, but it was good to see them hug it out. Shad looks like he's getting back with Deja, but will he tell her the truth about what he did? And I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't think he will, but I think it by the hug, and this is Jason Weaver. Jason Weaver plays Shad. By that hug and that look on his face, he's feeling a little guilty, and I don't know if he's really gonna come out and tell the truth. But Jada and Darnell, it was good to see them jump the broom. Some people are hating because they old school and they don't want to see the older folks on the Chi get that much shine. But I think it's good for the overall show because you got a young audience, you got the Kevin audience, and then you got the, of course, the Jada and Darnell jumping the broom for the 3rd, 4th time. Good for them. That's the old school crew. Bakari is now in Duda's camp. That's all I got to say. I'm glad they didn't do anything to Bakari this season, but I can tell you that season 6 is going to be a mess with Bakari because dude is the devil. Something's going to happen. Gemma dips into her college fund and she's decided to manage Maisha, and I can see that working out. The song's on the radio, and we'll see how that's going to work out,
What about the follow-up to the song that's on the radio?
That's what I'm talking about. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, yeah. I do have to, again, give it up to the folks at the Chi, for season 5 going into season 6. And I'm here to tell you that season 6 is going to be, if you want drama, I want drama. If you want drama, season 6 is going to be it. You know, if you want problems, you're going to have problems in season 6. Season 6 is going to be that all the problems that were avoided in season 5 are actually going to be, I think, season 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the last season, the final season.
I was going to ask you, how much longer do you think this show has to go before, it's time to pack it up and pack it in?
Yeah. I don't,
are there any characters that could do a spinoff from The Chi?
You know, I'm not really down with the whole Power 50 Cent spinoffs. Everybody gets a spinoff thing. One thing I like about The Chi is it gives a little bit of every part of our culture. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that's so different about it, because very few shows can do it like that. So, you know, if you spin off any of these characters, you're kind of taking something, an element. You know, you got the youth, you know, you got LGBTQ, you got the gangsters, you know, you got a lot of different elements in this show. There's just so many. And that's the surprising thing of how Lena Waithe has kept how you keep the dishes spinning all at once. It's amazing how they keep it spinning. So I don't know if I would be into it if it's over at season 6. I just think it's going to be really, again, problems in season 6. You want problems? Come to problems. That's all I got to say. All right, here we go, y'all. Honk for Jesus. Let me take now I want to go to break. I was going to go to break. Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall. Honk for Jesus, save your soul. I will say this, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more toward the end, but here's what I liked about it, okay? I liked that it was on Peacock, and I didn't have to go to the theater. That's number one. I liked that it was filmed in Atlanta. I got to see some nice little, landmarks, I like Nuck If You Buck. I ain't gonna tell you. I mean, if you hadn't seen the movie,
yes.
I thought
don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but I Nuck If You Buck was a nice little insert. Other than that, and I'm gonna say this, Tonya B. Regardless of how you felt about Eddie Long and the whole New Birth nastiness that occurred, I think it deserves more. It deserves better. A better storytelling.
Well, here's the thing.
Even though it's let me say this.
Okay,
I'm gonna let you jump in.
Go ahead.
It just deserves a better storytelling, even if it is funny or a mockumentary. And I'm pretty sure they couldn't get rights to do all they wanted to do to it.
Of course not.
I'm sure that was a big part of it, but in my opinion, I just don't think the people who were involved in the project had a really true understanding of what that meant to the city and to those people. And so, the other thing is mockumentaries and like satire hit home when those who are involved in it and creating it truly have an in-depth knowledge of what happened. I just don't, all the little sight gags and the funny stuff or trying to be funny was cool, but I just didn't get a sense that the people who were putting it out were really in it to develop a true story. And that's where I see, I don't read a lot of reviews before I see a movie. I typically do my review and I go back and take a look at other reviews. And one thing that I see in a lot of the reviews from a lot of reviewers, besides the ones who will just give them anything a good review, the ones I look at as really good reviewers, good writers, one of the things I saw as a consistent theme was it didn't really go anywhere. People were waiting for it to kind of go somewhere, and it never really went anywhere. So the fact is, just a couple of points, it only made $1.7 million at the box office, which is dismal. I mean, there are no movies out this weekend.
It's not. Right. But I mean, that's, to me, it's not a box office movie. It was streaming service or straight to video.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. But it, the other thing is you got Jordan Peele. It's a Jordan Peele Monkey Paw production. That's one. Then you've got Daniel Kaluuya, who's a producer. And then you've got these brand new directors, never directed, really, truly directed a project. And I'm not going to just bash the new directors. I mean, I'm all for giving new directors a shot. But there's just certain things you don't drop new directors in. Maybe this wasn't the shit to put them in for their very first project, because I'm here to tell you, I mean, I'm all for, holding religion accountable. I love movies and projects that hold, the whole hypocrisy accountable. But it just wasn't even good at that. It was, and I'm gonna say this, and I'll throw it to you, Tonya B. Jordan Peele and Kahlua. Jordan Peele especially. He needs to be careful, because his projects have been kind of on a decline since Get Out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of folks were kind of iffy on Nope. The Twilight Zone project that he did on CBS was not really well received. The second movie, Us, was kind of mediocre. Dude's going to have to get a hit. And he's going to, in terms of putting his name on a lot of big stuff, he really has to be careful in terms of putting his name on some of these projects, because eventually people are going to say, dude, when you going to get a hit? Okay, I'll throw it to you. I just had to say that. Go ahead. You go.
Well, first thing I'll say is it wasn't just, I guess if you had to really be, this whole Eddie Long thing happened just as I had moved to Atlanta, but there were elements of Eddie Long in there. There were elements of Creflo Dollar in there, and there were elements of Jamal Bryant, who took over Eddie Long's church, New Birth, after Eddie Long died. I say that. So there was and again, I guess they had to kind of skate the issues, because like you said, they may not have gotten the rights to do all that, they could have done. So I think unless you were really kind of like in the trenches when that was happening, or had a real deep understanding of that and just church politics in general, it wouldn't make sense. Anybody who doesn't look like you and me is more likely, often than not even going to understand that part of the Black church experience.
Yeah.
Number one. Okay. And number two, I think one thing I did not like about the movie, I had to sit there. I was watching it with my sister, and we're sitting there. We're like, huh? I'm like, I did not care for the way the movie ended. So you have to make your own assumption as to, did she leave? Did she stay? That whole thing. Yeah. And I think it was, to me, it was just a gloss over. It wasn't, and I know it's satire and, mockumentary and that whole thing, but again, I guess I see what they tried to do. I don't know that they did the best job of it. And like you said, with these first time directors, unless I don't recognize any of the names, and I read the credits, and I may be incorrect, but I don't believe there was anybody that was from Atlanta, or anybody who was really firmly entrenched and took, enough time to really know, some of the moving parts that they missed in this thing that actually went down. So you just can't sit here and go, okay, I'm going to research this. I'm going to, Google it and schmoogle it and see what happened. But unless you, got people who really were members of New Birth, World Changers, and, and these other Atlanta mega churches, like I said, I'll just say this. I see what they were trying to do. I don't think they achieved the goal for whatever reason. And as far as Jordan Peele goes, he's kind of getting to me to be like a one-trick pony. So he's got to change up his game, because I think he's gonna flatline and peter out. And now they're talking about a sequel to Nope. I'm like, some people, I didn't see it, and I really don't want to, because I heard Keke Palmer really made the movie, and I can go watch her, crack jokes on Password with Jimmy Fallon.
Again, most of the folks I've talked to, pissing off the church community is easy. You know what I'm saying? That ain't hard. But that ain't hard. But the other thing is making people laugh. If it was really meant to be a comedy, most people I know, they didn't think it was funny. Except for Nuck If You Buck.
Yeah, and that was the first, and that really was, to me, that was thing. That was a high point of this whole thing. And and the reality is there are a lot of pastors and their wives who do that. And there are a lot of pastors and their wives that exhibit a lot of that behavior that they showed there. And there are a lot of I'll just call a thing. I think a lot of pastors who really are closeted gay men, and the women like Andrew Gilliam's wife, she knew, but she signed up for, what she wanted. And that was to be the first lady of Florida. And it didn't work. Yeah. And he got messy and sloppy like Eddie Long and like a bunch of the other ones. And then, then they get, they have to hang their pants out the window. Yeah. But, I think that Honk for Jesus spoke to a segment of the population. It wasn't for the general population, if you will. And I just think if they were really going to do even a mockumentary or a real documentary, it would not have been in the movies. It would have been, on PBS or on what is that? What's the one? Hulu, that because now they're doing something, but it's more of a documentary about the Mormons.
Oh, that's gonna be
so
crazy.
I watched part of it. It was so crazy. I'm like, after episode 2 or 3, I said, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. But I get it, but I just don't think that they really hit the mark with Honk for Jesus. It was okay. Yeah, will I watch it again?
No. I'm glad I watched it on Peacock. I saw one comment on Twitter. Somebody said, as we tape on Sunday and Saturday this weekend, Labor Day weekend, was Cinema Day. So all the movies were $3. And somebody said, I wanted my $3 back.
Well, see, that's when you have to go in and get your 330-day subscription. Don't be mad, and now you can cancel it.
Damn, I want my $3.
They don't listen to me.
They say I tried, but damn, even with it being Cinema Day, I wanted my $3 back. And I just hope, really and truly, it doesn't matter to me because honestly, these guys are getting a lot of these projects greenlit when a lot of other people can't get their stuff greenlit because they're riding their reputation. But here's the thing, and I'll leave it at this, Tonya B. For somebody as talented as Key and Peele is comedy genius to me. When I watch Key
together,
Key and Peele is one of the most genius comedy duo standards on Comedy Central. And
absolutely,
it's top notch, period. For somebody who's coming from that legacy for something like this, dude, you could have done better. I mean,
they got to step it up. Because you know what? The green light's going to turn yellow, then it's going to turn red, and then everything's going to be stopped. So I think they really have to step it up. Yeah. They're only going to get, because if they're not making any money, if they're not making money, like, okay, next, there's somebody else out there. Next.
It made, Tonya B, it was number 14. And when I say number 14, they were releasing Spider-Man from 8 months ago. The number one movie this weekend, again, as we tape Labor Day weekend, the number one movie is Spider-Man. From 8 months ago.
Right, so that should tell you something.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think they got to step it up. Or, Reginald Hudlin, go and yoke them up, and you and your brother Reggie talk to him and take him back to boot camp, because I just don't see it.
It's 14.
I'm just not here for them doing it that long. And, they came in number 14, but they usually stop the list at number 10. And with that, I say, I need a benediction.
So you got 14, and then I know what's going to be said. The spin is going to be, well, it was on Peacock. I'm willing to say this, and Peacock probably will not let people know what their streaming is per show, but I'm willing to bet you it didn't do well on Peacock either. But I'll leave it at that. One more thing, and then we'll wrap it. I watched Surface on Apple again, in Google and Baccarat, and I was encouraged by it up until the damn finale. No. I'm going to say nope to that, because I thought that this show had a lot of promise. Again, it's on Apple Plus, probably not getting a whole lot of viewing, not a lot of big viewing. They haven't announced whether or not they're going to have a season 2. And honestly, it's bad when you spend that much time with a series and it went through 8 episodes, and I really don't even care. If they do, I don't care. If
it was probably 6 episodes too many.
Yeah, I don't even care if they do a season 2 because the ending was just so mediocre. The way they ended it, I'm just like, come on, Reese Witherspoon. What's up with that?
I know you expect more from her. I expect more from her.
I mean,
the ending for that sounds like the ending of Honk for Jesus. So with that, I'll just say.
All right, season finale again, 7th coming up is Everything's Trash. I know you watched that, Tonya B, and I think this comedy has promise, and I do hope that it gets another season. Phoebe, I hope she gets another season. Love you to weigh in. Go to castropolis.net. That's castropolis.net. You can click on the link for the people poll. Leave our comments. Leave your comments. Leave your feedback. We ran Shan up out of here.
Okay, I know that. That's what didn't I tell you? Those millennials, they get up and they move on and they leave. And I'm telling you.
See what we were talking about Honk for Jesus and she left.
Probably because she didn't want to make a comment on it. But anyway.
But they said people were leaving. People were getting up, leaving at the theater. But any last minute shout outs, Tonya B, before we
I just want to shout out to everybody in the DMV. I want to say a shout out to my cousin Russell. He got married on Friday in DC. He and his beautiful wife Courtney, my new cousin. I'm telling you, they did it up. It looked like, if anybody's ever seen is it Medea's family reunion when they had the wedding scene at the end?
Not with it looked like angels that. Hanging. The people
they had everything
the
but the angels. So let me tell you something. Me and my family, we do it right. We get it in. So I wish them many years of happiness.
No, you didn't have the peoples hanging from the ceiling.
Let me tell. Well, they just about. The only thing missing from that. Anyway, it was. It's and it's beautiful to see young people. I mean, look. For all we know, we could have DJ Khaled as a DJ. It's like I tell you, we don't half step in my family.
That's what I'm talking about. Damn,
but just much happiness to them. Yeah.
And one thing, and I'll let this be the benediction, y'all. I got, we carry, and I produce a podcast every week. I got to shout out Fran from Faith, Family, and Fundamentals.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a chance, go to castropolis.net and her podcast. She does a weekly podcast, and she is just, consistent over heading into 2 years with this podcast. But she is a teacher. And one of the things that she asked for is prayer for teachers dealing with these kids. A lot of these kids coming back. One of the things, y'all, you got kids, please tell your kids that they can't have whatever they want or act like whatever they want when they go into these schools. Because one of the things it's interesting that she asked for prayer for teachers dealing with this. A lot of these kids today feel like it's Burger King. They can go up in school and have it their way. And that ain't the case. I mean, they are literally walking up in there feeling entitled about what they can do and can't do.
You know what the other thing is?
I'm like, what?
And no, parents, this is not free daycare for your children.
That's what I'm saying.
This is not free daycare.
You said what? Because back in the day, Tonya B, I know there's some schools that have tried to bring back spanking, but when I was in school, they chop you in the throat.
Look, I went to school. No, if you went to the Thoke, but if you went to Catholic school, you got cracked across your knuckles with that ruler or a yardstick if you got lucky.
Man,
yeah. But I get it.
Let me say this: the principal had a belt, and the teachers had, what do you call them? The stick, the ruler, the long ruler.
Yeah, that was a yardstick.
The yardsticks, or you get chopped like Bernie Mac. You get chopped in the throat.
I'm telling you, I say, but to quote Chris Rock, when you call your grandmother mom and call your mother Pam, therein lies the root of the problem right there. And with that, I have nothing else to say.
But I gotta say that's definitely y'all pray for these teachers, man. They dealing with some craziness. Not only are they dealing with,
they're leaving.
They're leaving. Who can blame them?
Leaving.
I can't blame them because
too much stress, not enough money.
Look, I'm gonna say it like that. I know they can't chop them in the throat. I couldn't teach because I just have a flashback.
Me either. I couldn't.
I have a flashback.
And now, like I said, now it's a free for all, and people think that schools are now babysitters, and that's not the case. So anyway,
all right, y'all. Tonya B, again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Shan, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you. And with that, y'all, episode 144 is in the can. And we are out of here. Peace.
Back to the barbecue, y'all.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B. The G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.